Good morning. I'm out here in my outer garden. I just got done planting some tomatoes. I'll tell you that in a little while. I'll tell you about the tomatoes. But I've been thinking a lot about soil lately. I thought about all the amendments that I put in soil. Is it really necessary? I've been watching a YouTube video, The Living Traditions Homestead. And they use a lot of cover fabric. They not only supply their whole year of eating out of their garden, but they go to the farm markets and make some money on it too. And I noticed that they don't use too much amendments or too much fertilizer. And watching more of the YouTube videos, I saw that every couple of years they'd take that fabric off and they'd till in some compost, some organic matter, put the fabric back on, and they'd be good for a couple of years, and they're getting good growth. I also was watching another YouTube video. I am an organic gardener, and he uses a lot of cover crops. He uses peas and beans and clover. So what he'll do is he'll plant clover in the fall, and then in the springtime when his section is ready to be planted, he'll either just cut it down and plant between the clover, or he'll till it in very, very lightly into the soil. And that's what he does for nutrients. He also will use a lot of wood chips, mulch leaves, and he spreads that on. And it's very interesting. And I guess to be an organic gardener, one needs to rely more on nature than organic fertilizers. I am an organic gardener also uses the purple turtle head. He'll plant that at some time, I think early spring, and he will use it for a cover crop and then till it in or just leave it like the clover or the peas or the beans. I found an old bin, an old metal bin last year, and I wondered what I was going to do with it, and I decided this year potatoes. So I put about 3 or 4 inches of good potting soil in the bottom of this bin. I planted the potato, and then I put about 4 inches of chips, wood chips, broken down quite a bit. And then I went around the neighborhood and got some purple dead nettle, and I placed that on there. It's a very good nitrogen builder. And the potatoes came up nice. And then I got more wood chips, and I covered the potatoes up, the leaves, and now they're up again. What it is that there's a symbiotic relationship, which means it's mutually beneficial. So bacteria takes nitrogen gas and converts it to ammonia that the plants use. Then the plants give back to the bacteria the nutrients and the carbohydrates and the energy that the bacteria needs. So what I have here is a couple of tomato plants. Surrounded by peas. The peas are going to give the plants the nitrogen that it needs. I also mulched in a lot of leaves in that soil a couple of weeks ago, and I will use wood chips in about 2 weeks. Once things warm up a little bit, I have some wood chips. In fact, I'm sitting on a bucket right here, and I'll spread them over there. And wood chips, and of course, I've been using wood chips and mulch leaves for many years, and they're also soil builders. And a lot of people say, well, they take the nitrogen from the soil, but it also gives a lot of nitrogen into the soil. And it's also very good to keep the moisture in, keep the weeds out. So in the fall, I might just get some clover and plant this section with clover, and come again next year with some more tomatoes. I do have a pepper in here too, and I'll see how it goes. I will rotate. Maybe the third year I'll put something else in here. But the whole idea is not to use any of the amendments. And of course I never do use chemical fertilizers, but I use a lot of blood meal and bone meal. I won't use any of that either. I'll depend more on the cover crop and the chips and the mulch. So later on in June, July, I'll show you again and I'll see how things are going. Maybe this year I'll be reaching in there, getting a nice big boy tomato.